This should be a good one here. Both these teams kind of crushing it. A lot of success for both these teams here on the SCG Tour. So we got Grace. Merriam Ross is just, he talks with his hands.
Yeah, he talks a lot about politics and beer.
And the Utah Jazz. And his beard. And now I think he's just yelling at Job.
Probably. Did you know that in 1967 the Utah Jazz had one of the best teams of all time?
Stockton Malone, ever heard of it?
I'm from Connecticut.
That's a really good Ross impersonation. We're gonna cut and dub that so you can hear it later. That's a really good impersonation. Let's see.
One of my favorite starts.
Dude, this is the best
from
start.
Blue Black Death Shadow.
I love
this
it.
was a unique take on this style of deck. 2 copies of Reanimate in the Death Shadow deck. Not only does it just get you to 12 or less really quickly, but Reanimating Street Wraith is a lot of power on turn 1. That play just already has Dave Thomas down to 12, which means Death Shadow is already unlocked.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things about this deck. Again, this is, I don't know, Josh Layton, kind of a genius to me here, folks. The couple of copies of Reanimating he's put in the deck are awesome. And also, we're playing in a matchup here, as there's a Wasteland from Tandem. We're playing in a matchup in which Swamp Walk actually matters.
Yeah, I mean, almost every single fair deck in Legacy has some amount of black in it, for whether it's disruption with discard spells or removal with things like Fatal Push. Underground Sea is everywhere, and that means Street Wraith can't be blocked.
Now, of course, Street Wraith going to be tough to Lightning Bolt in the 3/4 after all. It's tough to kill with Fatal Push, given the casting cost. Can't kill it with Snuff Out. You can kill it with Dismember, though.
So I want to point out it's really, really tough situationally to Wasteland while on the draw against a deck that already has a threat on the battlefield.
Yeah.
You're basically thinking, I'm so far behind, the only way I can win this game is if you don't have a second land.
Dude, this is a beating.
Yeah, this Death Shadow deck is gas.
This is a
Snuff Out, I'm at 5. Okay, I'm at 5. I'm at 3. He's going for lethal this turn.
Call the police. Oh my God! Oh my God! Call the police! Call the police! No. This is not fair.
I'm not 100% on life totals. I think David's probably at 3 because he Snuff Out and Cycle Street Wraith.
Tannen just lost to no permanents. Give me the bingo stamper. It actually happened.
Conceded with no permanents.
He lost with no permanents. Who has? You or I think I have it.
I don't have it.
Hold on. Player loses with no permanents on the battlefield.
A ding!
Bang! I never thought I'd get that stamp.
Oh, all it takes is an Emrakul attack with an
but that's like the easy way.
That's fair.
Not what we just watched. That was, whoo boy.
Hey, remember when I said the Death Shadow is probably the best deck in Legacy?
Hey, I didn't disagree.
And then we just watched one of the best Legacy players on the SCG Tour concede with no permanents in play on turn 3.
Oof. Mercy.
Zips out!
David Thomas with a beatdown against Tannen Grace. Blue Black Death Shadow very quickly up a game here over Grixis Delver. Well, Tannen Grace, you got some work to do. You got 2 Diabolic Edicts, 2 Abrades, 2 Pyroblast, 2 Surgical Extraction, a Price of Progress, a Null Rod, a Marsh Casualties, a Pithing Needle, Grim Lavamancer, a Flusterstorm, and Liliana, the Last Hope.
So normally in this type of matchup, Grim Lavamancer would be good. However, most of David's creatures are too big to be hit with the Grim Lavamancer, so it's more so you would have to use it to try to do the last few points of damage. But the Death Shadow deck is very good about using its life total not only as a resource, but also they can make sure that they stay around 7, 8, 9 life if they want to. Their Death Shadow just basically needs to be a 4/4 so it doesn't get colded by a lightning bolt. So even though Lavamancer's coming in, it's not nearly as effective here as it would be against a normal Delver opponent. Liliana Last Hope is also pretty good. It's going to be a little bit more grindy after game 1. We're going to be bringing a lot more removal with things like Diabolic Edict. Pyroblast, we're going to be trying to trade a lot of 1-for-1s, and Liliana Last Hope can actually gain some much-needed card advantage. I don't really like Price of Progress, but it could just randomly steal a game, so I wouldn't be surprised if Tannen brought it in as a way to try to sneak one in on David since he's down 1. Not a lot else besides that. Edict's pretty good. Abrade is not so good. Same with Lightning Bolt, but at least Lightning Bolt can go to the dome and try to do some direct damage in the right spot.
Maybe steal one. David Thomas, 3 Dreaded Knight, 3 Surgical Extraction, 2 Amnatorak, 2 Liliana the Last Hope, 2 Throne of Geth, Diabolic Edict, and Engineering Explosives, and a Nihil Spellbond. What do you like there, Todd?
So I expect both players to be citing out some number of Force of Will, if not all of them. And in those scenarios, cards like Hymn to Torok get a lot better because it generates a 2-for-1 when your opponent is trying to 1-for-1 you to death with removal spells, discard effects, etc. I also like Liliana Last Hope from the other side as well, just more ways to generate card advantage. Plus, if a Delver Seekers doesn't flip, you're able to take it out, as well as checking the very powerful in this matchup Young Pyromancer. I don't like Throne of Geth. That's almost there 100% for Chalice of the Void. Diabolic Edict seems okay, but it can get brick-walled pretty easily by Young Pyromancer, so you have to be careful. But Diabolic Edict against the right threat is definitely great. Explosives I don't expect to come in because it's a little slow, and it's not really there for this reason, but it could act as a way to deal with Young Pyromancer tokens or the Young Pyromancer itself, but I don't expect it to come in. Spellbomb can check an opposing Gurmag Angler, so I do like bringing that in as just another value card.
Those are your options. Grace and Thomas going to be underway here in just a moment. They're both taking a look at their opening hands, so we'll turn our attention there. And if one of them takes a mulligan, perhaps we'll talk a little bit about SCG Game Night.
Looks like they're both content with their opening hand. Probably about to start.
Green means go. We are underway. It's the Volcanic Island. Oh, hello, Grim Lavamancer.
I told you.
Tannen already off to a better start than he had last game. My goodness.
Hey.
Here's a Thoughtseize. Off of Volcanic Sea, I'm sure.
I mean, no, it's not always going to be C. Not in Death Shadow. Sometimes it's
Watery G.
Great.
Sometimes it's Watery G.
But Dave's on the draw here, and he's casting a Thoughtseize, so he knows he doesn't want to deal too much damage to himself. The Grim Lavamancer is going to do a little bit. He might have a Street Wraith or two, so if you start shocking yourself too much with Watery Graves, it could actually end up with you being too low on life to do things like Snuff Out or cycling Street Wraith or using your Reanimates on Street Wraith, etc.
Gurmag Angler will bite the dust. Diabolic Edict, couple of lands left over. Grim Lavamancer on the battlefield here.
Yep. David correctly recognizing Gurmag Angler is one of the better cards in the matchup, using his Thoughtseize to take away that, as opposed to something like Diabolic Edict, which will likely be eating a creature no matter what.
There's an attack for 1, and now David Thomas will sacrifice a Marsh Flats.
Lavamancer currently checking any of the Delvers that David plays, but if he can do something crazy here, like cycle 2 Street Race, he could get a Gurmag Angler into play right now. But he still has to fight through, of course, the Diabolic Edict from the other side.
Yep. Him, I like it.
This bad for Tannen.
Him, one of my favorite legacy cards of all time. Can we get a reprint? Probably not. No, probably not. Okay. That's why I don't work. That's why I don't work in RNG. Hit. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hits. What do we lose?
Yeah, dismember. Which member?
Not this again. Not this again. And a Misty Rainforest.
Yeah, hitting the land might come back to being good if David hits a string of Wastelands. Mana denial is a key part in any sort of Delver or tempo creature-based matchup. Players like to cast things like Brainstorm and Ponder and then also do something in the same turn. And if you take away a couple pieces of their mana, you leave them without the ability to play something like Ponder and a threat in the same turn.
It's a polluted delta. And the follow-up. Kaboom!
So I didn't expect explosives to come in, but it looks pretty good here. Checking that Grim Lavamancer is sweet, but he doesn't have to do it now. And that means that if Tannen draws a Delver of Secrets, he can't even play it this turn.
Well, it looks like Dave Thomas might do it now on the upkeep.
Okay.
Got a Watery Grave, too, and this means he's forcing Tannen to use his mana if he wants to deal 2 on his own turn, which is a little bit interesting.
Right, but Tannen didn't have a play last turn, so I don't think that this is really a decision. I think you want to go ahead and deal him 2. Now, it's a little
do you want to?
Well, it's a little dangerous, obviously, because you basically make their Death Shadow bigger.
Yeah.
But with the Lightning Bolt in Tannen's hand, putting Dave down to 9 means that he's that much closer to dealing lethal with Lightning Bolt.
Gurmag Angler, the draw there for Tannen Grace. Also, lost 2 cards in his graveyard to those 2 points of damage.
Yeah, now he can't cast that Gurmag Angler. He just drew. If he had chosen to just let the Grim Lavamancer die, he would have 4 cards in his graveyard, and he'd have multiple fetch lands in play and enough to cast it.
That play by Dave is like really kind of subtle, but I think it's actually a really smart one because it allows Tannen to make a mistake, potentially. Now, Tannen didn't know he was going to draw Gurmag Angler, obviously, but it was a thing that he could draw, that he could have played this turn, that he can no longer play, which means he's a turn behind from casting that, and that gives Dave a little more time to maybe get his feet set.
Yeah, while David doesn't have any real pressure at the moment, neither does Tannen. So if he's the first to deploy a big threat to his side of the battlefield.
Oh, baby.
Ooh, I like this. Now, this actually plays around that Diabolic Edict.
I love
this play.
love this.
Now, any creature on your side of the battlefield is fine as long as you get to protect from the Edict.
Most people don't know this because I know we don't come to Texas that much, and David Thomas has been away from the game for a minute. He's real good.
No, he's great.
He's real good.
He used to be one of the opponents that I like to play against the least just because of how good he was. I am very much happy to see him play, and I'm really glad we got to put him on camera. And I hope his team does really well. Even if he's beating up on Tannen and Ross and Brennan, I'm rooting for him. Him and John Job are pretty good friends of mine.
Right now, he's making it look pretty easy. That first game was a beatdown, and this one this one isn't as ugly as the first one, but it's getting to be pretty bad here.
So Tannen heads up play here. You can get a little greedy and go for a Lightning Bolt to the Domski and hope that you draw another Lightning Bolt. But at this stage in the game, it's imperative that you clear the Grim Lavamancer so that your Edict can actually take care of the Gurmag Angler. Because if you don't draw a Lightning Bolt, that Angler can just eat you alive in 4 turns.
It doesn't take long for that to kill you, as Grace is going to sacrifice a Flooded Strand. And Blue-Black land probably on the way. There it is.
Yeah, and I would say the odds that David has a way to stop this Edict are pretty low. Otherwise, I don't think he would have used that Reanimate on the Grim Lavamancer. You could prove me wrong here.
Ooh, the Angler.
Angler to check Angler instead of Edict. This plays around Flusterstorm, Spell Pierce, and Force of Will.
Let's see what this is. This will be a Brainstorm to start the turn. 2, 3 cards here for David Thomas. 2 will be going back here in just a moment.
Now, if Dave finds an Edict of his own, though, it's going to be in great shape. So we saw Snuff Out do some pretty good work in Game 1 by just clearing a Delver early on and dealing 4, so it made Death Shadow bigger. But it's not actually a great card in this matchup. It does hit Young Pyromancer and Delver, but notably it doesn't take care of Gurmag Angler or True Name Nemesis, both of which are very important cards in the matchup.
It'll be a Delver of Secrets on a passing of the turn. Angler perhaps looking to trade with Angler.
Oh, wow. There's a chance that Dave actually has a Stubborn Denial in hand. I didn't think he would leave it in. Those cheap counterspells are a little like cards like Spell Pierce, Flusterstorm are not always good in these types of matchups because if your opponent is really far ahead on board, having a counterspell doesn't do a whole lot. But at the same time, now that he has Gurmag Angler on the battlefield, that Stubborn Denial is basically a 1-mana negate.
Yeah, this is tough because you saw him really give a lot of thought to countering that Brainstorm. It's Brainstorm, right? It's the best card in Legacy. You kind of want to counter it if you have the opportunity to, but he said, you know what? That'll resolve. Maybe I've got my eyes on Diabolic Edict or something else right now.
Yeah, I think the just countering the Edict's a little too important here.
He does have fodder for the Edict and that Delver of Secrets, but that Delver of Secrets might be the way that he's trying to win this game, too.
Yeah. I think he just needs to counter the Edict so that he's able to flip Delver, start attacking, and still have a way to check Tannen's Gurmag Angler.
Ooh, looks like Tana might be putting the Diabolic Edict back on top of the deck. He's got 2 different piles here. Edict is in that one, so it looks like that's gone hiding. Here's Wasteland. This is Young Pyromancer. Okay. And now Inquisition of Kozilek, not a card you see a lot. And there's a Daze.
The Daze there, huge because it keeps David actually with the Stubborn Denial for the Edict next turn.
So it's an Underground Sea. That's in the grip. Thomas is going to be untapping here in just a moment. Unless that Gurmag says, let's trade. I'm curious. Yeah, I like attacking here.
I do too. I think that it's very important to attack because even if you are able to force through the Diabolic Edict on the next turn, like it doesn't matter which one it hits. Like your Young Pyromancer might just overpower either of these creatures, and sitting back basically just gives David more time.
There's your trade. Upkeep, trigger, Brainstorm. I think DT is going to keep this one.
Yeah, for sure. He does have the option to shuffle it away, but bouncing the land back to his hand with Daze means he has a little bit more chaff to shuffle away. So I fully expect him to Brainstorm, get rid of the extra land, try to find something else. Fetching here pre-Brainstorm seems odd to me. He may have known the next card, though, from the previous Brainstorm and didn't want to draw it.
Getting Watergrave, going down to 3, leaving on the edge. Bolt range.
Even though you get access to less mana, it seems a little dangerous here to search for that untapped. I guess he's looking for Marsh Casualties and wants to shuffle away the Underground Sea. I don't know. It's pretty dangerous. He doesn't have any Underground Seas left because he plays 2 Seas and 3 Watery Graves in order to facilitate the Death Shadow. But being at 3 life here against a Lightning Bolt deck is rather dangerous, especially when facing down some creatures from the opposing side.
All right, Brainstorm's resolved. Boy, he's going down to 2, obviously. Standard going to game number 3. Job, DeCandio, all tied up. That's Black-Blue mid-range against Bant Nexus. Ross Merriam won game number 1 against Brian Basoco in the Humans Mirror. And now what?
That's gas.
That is gas.
That's going to check. Ooh.
What you think
I guess there's
that?
no difference between 2 and 1.
2 and 1,
really.
not really, no.
Might as well attack. Cross your fingers.
Tannen?
He had a preordained that he left on top because he was trying to get max value out of Young Pyromancer. Very likely going to keep one of these 2 Diabolic Edicts that he sees. Get rid of the Delver. He might just keep both, honestly. But that doesn't really do anything against the Liliana.
He's looking at 2 Edicts right now, I think, Todd.
Yeah, the first one going to keep for sure to get rid of Delver of Secrets. You just want to clear the path. The problem is if David actually goes for minus next turn, get back Gurmag Angler, and then cast it, there's a chance that David just loses to the Diabolic Edict if he keeps both.
That's a very good point. That's a really hard call here for Tannen. Looking at 2 Edicts, because your thought process might be, I don't know, I just only need 1. I'd like to maybe see a different card as opposed to just drawing another Edict, but Edicts are still pretty good in this spot. Yeah, and this is the thing that's tough about team tournaments. He's asking Ross what to do. How is Ross supposed to jump into this?
You can't. I mean, I'm of the firm belief that 99% of the time when you're playing a team event, you should only ask your teammates for decisions, help on decisions like mulligans, just because that's usually the beginning of the game. Your teammate has complete what?
You see Ross?
Ross just like,
Ross just waved them off. He's like, I don't know, man. Oh, why put both Edicts to the bottom?
Oh, he just wants Lightning Bolt. No, I love this play. He just wants Lightning Bolt and Lightning Bolt alone.
I just saw the little dialogue between
that was great.
Ross and Tanner. Ross is just like,
I don't know. Play your game.
I got no clue.
This is hard. There's so much going on. I don't have time for this. I'm in my own match.
Yeah, I'm in the Humans Mirror over here. That's no easy matchup.
No. Yeah, going to the Domski.
All right, you're down to 1. Tanner maybe want to activate Wasteland. Not sure what he drew. Looks like it may have been a Delta.
I don't think Wastelanding is correct here. You know, the Death Shadow deck can operate on 1 or 2 mana pretty easily. And at this juncture, with only 1 card in hand, the odds of that mattering are pretty low.
Liliana's going to go down. Okay. Going to get back Gurmag. Mill a couple of cards. Okay.
Now, even if he has Death Shadow here off of the Liliana Minus, he's almost certainly getting back Gurmag just because it doesn't die to Fatal Push, which sometimes the Grixis decks play one or two of.
Yep. So there's the real big fish. Now, the only thing we don't have a great idea of at this stage is just what's in David Thomas's hand.
Yeah, it looks like he still has the Stubborn Denial.
It does look that way.
That's a pretty big deal because it means he's not going to lose to a top deck Lightning Bolt now that he has mana untapped. And maybe that's why Tannen went for the bottom last turn.
12-1. Well, I think Tannen's thought process here was Diabolic Edict, one or both, is not going to win me the game. It'll prolong the game, but it won't win me the game.
Yeah, I mean, when you're facing down a Liliana and your opponent at a very low life total, there's a lot to be said about just risking it for the biscuit. Put them both on bottom. You can maybe hit a Ponder or something. But if you draw the other Lightning Bolt, the game ends. Yeah. And there's a lot of value to just winning the game on the spot. Especially prolonging the game actually seems bad here for Tannen because the creatures in David's deck are bigger. He has a resolved Planeswalker. And overall, it just looks bad. And it'll just get worse as the game goes on.
Here's an attack for 8.
Yeah, and I think David just has it wrapped up. If Tannen did not draw a True Name Nemesis last turn, so now he's basically Lightning Bolt or Bust, and David just has the counterspell in Stubborn Denial.
I think that might be a lock then there, Todd. Well, actually, if he draws... Oh, wow, he actually drew Bolt. There's the Stubborn Denial. Unbelievable!
Now, the game is over, obviously, but David, he had the Stubborn Denial already.
Yep.
He actually left himself vulnerable to the last card that Tan drew the previous turn being Daze.
It's true.
Which is nuts.
That is true. David Thomas going to win this game and match here over Tannen Grace. 2-0. Blue-Black Death Shadow will take care of Grixis Delver. Todd, where do you want to go? You want to go to Human's Mirror, or do you want to watch DeCandio versus Job?
Honestly, the Human's Mirror is pretty sweet, but I want to see some more of this Bant Nexus deck because this looks kind of poopy so far.
Okay.
And I just want to see what all the hubbub's about.
All right.
Oh, the Nexus of Face, a $40 rare, and it's a buy box promo. It's so good. But I have literally only seen it cast as a untap my lands and draw a card. That's it.
Well, that's where we're going. Baral, Chief of Compliance, is on the battlefield here for Jonathan Job. Looks like he's got a land to play too. So he'll play a Forest. We'll see what he wants to do in his 4th turn of the game. This will be a Gift of Paradise. For Brennan DeCandio, I see a Champion of Wits. I see a Glint City Siphoner. I see 3 lands. As we told you earlier in the day, DeCandio came over to us and told us, look, boys, I'm not losing a match today. I'd be shocked if I did. My deck is busted. And thus far, I believe DeCandio is himself undefeated, not the team. And when we've watched him, he clearly knows what he's doing with this deck. This is very much in his wheelhouse. And this deck looks good.
Oh, for sure. A friend of mine actually went to Grand Prix Providence this weekend, and I don't want to call him a novice. He has won a PTQ before, but he hasn't played a ton of Magic over the last, say, 5 years.
Okay.
And he's been loving this blue-black deck. He played it all week, and he started off 7-1 in the Grand Prix.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a good deck.
Yeah. For those of you in Twitch chat, you probably know him as Scooter222.
I've seen that name before.
Eric Johnson, he's a great dude. I play PUBG with him constantly.
Such PUBGs.
Yeah, dude, it's such a good game.
I've heard some things. I've heard Fortnite's better, though.
I mean, I'm not going to dog on Fortnite. It's one of those things like, you know, if you start trying to compare, like, Hearthstone to Magic, and then you could start to compare, like, Fortnite to PUBG, you get a lot, like, there's good sides and bad sides to both. Obviously, a better version, like, if Magic Online looked like Hearthstone, it would be insanely good.
Yeah.
And that's what they're trying to do with Arena, I think, to bring in a wider digital audience.
Okay.
For me, Fortnite's a little too cartoony. Like, it's more goofy. Like, the characters wear bunny suits and stuff. And I don't know. I like PUBG for a bit of the realism, personally.
Ooh. This is nice here for Job. He plays it to Teferi. Negate goes after Teferi, but Job, because of Baral, is able to play a discount in Jace's defeat to counter the Negate. Now Teferi's on the battlefield. Job going to play a land.
And he gets to loot because of the Baral.
Yeah, he gets to loot because of the Baral, so he's going to discard the land. Teferi goes up to 5. Job will draw a card. Of course, he gets to untap the Gift of Paradise, and it looks like a Hinterland Harbor.
Yeah, and this is really where the strength of the Bant Nexus deck comes into play. We've seen time and time again, decks like Blue Eye Control, Esper, and now this Bant Nexus deck functions so much better when they have an active Teferi. They get to untap 2 mana and play something like Haze of Pollen, which you are suffering from pretty badly, by the way.
It's been a tough day here. It's been a tough day here in Dallas. Okay.
But not only that, you just get to use that mana to protect your Teferi in one way or another.
Doomfall. Look, there's a reason I don't do the Dallas show that often, and it's not because I don't like the Dallas people. I love the Dallas people. They might be my favorite group of players on the SCG Tour because they're so passionate. They come out in droves, but this place does not agree with me. We are at war.
I just want to point out there was no removal spell and no fog effect, and Teferi is down.
Well, Carnage Tyrant is here.
Carnage Tyrant also down. Down a clown. But you know what Carnage Tyrant doesn't block?
Glency Siphoners, plural.
Yes.
Well,
you know what doesn't care about hexproof?
Doomfall. You got any other questions I can answer? I'm on a roll right now.
Also, there's a duress.
Jeez. This is a beating.
So taking Nexus of Fate here, it doesn't matter. Just take the Teferi,
yeah,
and the game's over.
A quick question. Oh boy, what does Bant Nexus beat? I'm not sure right now that it beats anything.
I don't know.
I do not think, after watching it a couple times against Red-Black, I do not think a Red-Black player that is prepared and played the matchup has a bad matchup. Now they know to leave, cut ribbons in, play more Chandras, all this other stuff. When they time their discard spells, as we saw from Julian John. This matchup looks horrific.
No, this is definitely one of the harder matchups for Bant Nexus. I talked a bit with some friends just discussing the Nexus deck in general, and any deck that has creatures and counter spells is kind of a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because not only does he have a bunch of Vraska's Intent, maybe Commits Memory or whatever, to handle Teferi on its own, but your creatures just draw cards.
That's what I was going to say.
And you don't have removal.
Stuff. Yeah.
So it's just really bad for Bant Nexus because they don't have actual removal. They're too reliant on fog effects to really get anything of consequence done.
So here's Nissa, Steward of Elements, and for me, as Job's going to scry too, I wouldn't be surprised if DeCandio just goes, yeah, dude, attack you for 8. I don't care about this.
Yeah, Nissa doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Especially if he finds a counter spell here and he can counter Nexus. Like just attack, counter Nexus, attack again, you're dead.
You see DeCandio drawing multiple cards a turn because of the Glint Sleeve Siphoners and its trigger.
It looks like he has another Siphoner in hand, so he could safely attack the...
if he's playing that's it. If he's just like, I have the ability to drop Search for his Kanta right now because I'm so far ahead and I have a counterspell in my hand because I believe he has a copy of Jace's Defeat in hand. I don't see it, man. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be some insane chain of events for Job to win this game, I believe.
Job is checking his sideboard.
That's never a good sign.
No, it's not.
You want me to tell you what happened the last time someone checked their sideboard against me?
What was that?
It was Jeff Hooglin.
Okay.
Playing for top 8 of an invitational. And I played a turn 1 Grafdigger's Cage.
Yep, I remember this, actually.
He cast Brainstorm. After drawing the 3 cards, before putting 2 back, he goes, I'm going to check my sideboard. And all 4 of his show and tells were in the sideboard.
Concede.
And he conceded.
Yep. I remember, because he was playing Reanimator, I remember that.
Yeah, I was playing Infect.
Right. Not Sneaking Show.
I was playing Infect.
I do recall. Shout out to Jeff for his dominant open run a couple of weeks ago with Blue-Red Wizards, by the way.
Oh, for sure. We ran that deck through the gauntlet on the Versus Series. We played against 5 of the top decks in Modern.
Actually, that deck's good.
It was very good. But I think it went 2-3 against, or is either 3-2 or 2-3 against the 5 decks. But it was the 5 toughest decks we could throw against it.
Yeah, of course.
And I believe it was actually dead even in games. Almost, it was like, well, we played 15 games, and I believe it was had won half of them or so.
Okay.
Maybe 8, maybe 7. Like, it convincingly beat Storm 3-0. Like, I cycled a frickin' what's the counterbird? The
Obstructionist.
Yeah, Nimble Obstructionist on a lethal grape shot.
Yep.
Do we just have the end of the match?
We do.
What happened?
Ross Merriam won his match 2-0.
Nice.
Brendan DeCandio won his match 2-1. Tannen Grace, he lost because Dave Thomas went nuclear on him. But ultimately, the winners of the match are Team BCW.